Jack Thunder and the Dawn of Unity. Chapter 10. The Sorcerer and the Jester. The Dark Carnival was in full swing. Music from the rides and games filled the air, accompanied by the lively conversation of carnival patrons of all stripes. The rustling of wind ripped amber leaves from their branches on trees that towered above the fairgrounds. No one noticed the flapping of wings as the lone Tengu soared not too high above. San scanned the area for Strombolio's trailer. Where was it? It shouldn't have been too far from here. As he glided away from the grounds, he noticed a rectangular outline through the treetops. This must be it, he thought. He swooped down, taking care not to run into any trees as he gently landed on the ground. His assumption was correct. On the side of the trailer was the emblem of the Shadow Moons, a triple moon with a smiling, laughing crescent on the left and a crying moon shedding a single tear on the right. Above the emblem was the name, the Great Strombolio, painted in white, ornate letters. San rapped on the door 3 times. A familiar face opened it. "San, you came to visit?" San shook his head. "This isn't a social call. I have something important to talk to you about." Strombolio's face fell. "Did Jack tell you about what happened?" San nodded. "Look, if it makes you feel better, I have insurance." "That's not what's worrying me, Strombolio. What I'm concerned about is all this about the Anti-Humanist League. Do you know anything about this?" Strombolio sighed. "Not much. Twicchit came out and started yelling after he destroyed the puppet palace. I came over to see what all the fuss was about, and Shadowpaws mentioned he'd said something about Miss Butternut. That's when I told Twicchit to get out of here if he knew it was good for him. Anima-cursed rat scurried away like the coward he is." Strombolio snorted. His mouth twisted into a sneer, showing off a mouthful of razor-sharp yellow fangs. San swore he could see a globule of spit collecting at the edge of his mouth. "Yeesh, remind me never to tick you off," San muttered under his breath. He stole a glance at the Harlequin gremlin's body. One less wise would mistake his considerable bulk for nothing but flab. But San knew better. He'd seen Strombolio hurl wendigos 10 times his size during the war. If his friend didn't have iron self-control, Twicchit would have been little more than a black stain in the dirt at this point. Strombolio took a deep breath. "Sorry, didn't mean to scare ya. Me and Twicchit, well, we don't have the best history between us." "I understand." San lifted his head. "So that's all you know?" "Yeah, sorry. Wish I could tell you more. I'll keep an eye out for any trouble, okay? I got a feeling old Twitchit's gonna making another appearance soon. I'll keep that in mind. Thanks, Strombolio." Strombolio smiled. "No problem, San." The Tengu once again spread his wings and took flight. Strombolio watched as he disappeared into the evening sky above. "Yeah, I got a feeling I'll be seeing Twicchit again even sooner than I think." San felt the autumn wind through his feathers as he soared high above the clouds. Beautiful as the evening was, he couldn't afford to slow down and enjoy it. He was on his way back to Tempest Island. Hopefully that human was still safe. His thoughts screeched to a halt when someone ran head-on into him. The two tumbled through the sky, making a rough landing on a low-lying cumulus cloud. San dusted himself off. "Hey, what's the—" He froze. The stranger stood up, revealing an uncomfortably familiar goat skull head. "Nemesis?" Nemesis threw its clawed hands out in front of it. "Don't attack! I'm not a threat!" San drew closer, wrapping his taloned hand around the wendigo's neck. "Why are you here? Didn't we teach you this lesson enough times already?" Nemesis pointed to its chest. "Jack bound me in this. I can't feed with it on." San released his hand as he saw the magical chains wrapped around the wendigo's torso. Of course, a binding spell. He sighed in relief. I've taught him well. But Nemesis still hadn't answered his question. Why are you an Alterous? He prodded. I was banished. The other wendigos weren't too happy about how I helped you back when... Somehow, San could believe that story. I'm listening. Nemesis continued to explain. Your world is in grave danger. The flip side has been in chaos ever since the Heart of Darkness left. My rival, General Malefic, was the one who banished me from the flip side. It's a brutal entity, one that will not stop until it finishes what the Heart started. The color drained from San's face. He should have known that Heart of Alterous' restoration would throw the flip side into turmoil. The world's Wendigo problems were far from over. That's not all. Just earlier, I saw Jack conversing with Ivory Butternut. What? San shrieked. His wings flared out as he pressed his nose into Nemesis's face. What are you suggesting, Wendigo? Nemesis's face held a solemn expression. It's not like that. I don't think he even recognized her. But he told her what I'd said about Malefic. She knows there's an invasion coming, and I fear she's going to try and take advantage of that. He'd better not have recognized her. San stammered. He wanted so desperately to believe Nemesis was lying, that this was all a ruse to tear them apart from each other. But his wings trembled as he considered the possibility Nemesis was telling the truth. Tears pricked the corners of his eyes. He couldn't believe it. He wouldn't believe it. Ever since he'd taken to teaching the little storm gremlin, he'd vowed he'd protect him. But as reality hit, he realized he couldn't keep that promise. Terrible thoughts flooded his mind. How could Ivy have slipped past his radar? What did she tell Jack? What kinds of twisted lies did she fill his mind with? San stammered. This isn't over, Nemesis. He spread his wings and shot into the air. He couldn't get home fast enough. Detective Samwell scratched his head. I know this thing is important, I just don't know exactly how. The cyan crystal in front of him buzzed, teasing him, taunting him. Even with no other leads, Detective Barry found Samwell's theory hard to believe. Not that Samwell entirely blamed him, it was pretty far-fetched. But there was something about this little stone. He picked it up off the table and began to pace. Perhaps getting up from his chair would get the blood flowing to his brain. As he made circles around the room, he noticed something. When he got near the door, the crystal began to pulse faster, and when he walked away, the vibrations waned. He stopped. Was it leading him somewhere? He made his way to the door once again. Sure enough, the crystal's pulse quickened. Samwell made his way through the halls of the compound, letting the stone's ethereal heartbeat guide him. He was playing a game of getting warmer, getting colder with a rock, its magical energy waxing and waning as he weaved his way through the building. Eventually, it led him outside, through the dark, empty streets and past buildings with bright, shiny windows. He followed its guidance. Eventually, he reached the city limits. The light from the crystal was bright enough now that he could see into the thicket of trees before him, shrouded in the deep blue of night. He pressed on through the thicket. The gemstone continued to guide him, illuminating the way as he reached whatever it was guiding him to. Eventually, it stopped vibrating altogether, its light so fierce it chased the shadows away from the entire clearing. Samwell gasped. In front of him were two trees, twisted so that they made a doorway into the woods. Between them was a shimmering portal, a gateway to another world. Through the opening, Samwell could make out a sandy desert, lizards and scorpions scuttling across the dunes. In the distance was a stark mountain range, covered in veins that led up to the distant entrances of caverns, almost like they were pathways, inviting travelers to come in. This was it. He'd found an altar's portal. He dashed all the way back to the station. He couldn't wait to tell the others what he'd found. But when they arrived with backup the next morning, the portal was nowhere to be seen. The crystal sparked, its magical aura mocking Samuel endlessly.